All right, what's happening? What's happening, everybody? Good morning to you. It is Friday, August 28th, 2020. This morning is the first time we're going to run through what we're referring to as the family perspective. We're going to talk about your family is a business. How is your family a business? Let's get started.
It is ultimately important for you to look at your goals, truly what you want to do in your life, and then look at the people who you spend the most time with in your life and figure out if that lines up.
All right, what's happening, guys? Happy Friday to you all. This is going to be a fun one this morning because this is the first one of the family piece of what we're doing on the new morning perspective here. So this is the family perspective. And we're going to talk about, just how your family, how being, part of or, a parent in a family, being a spouse, all of that stuff, how your family is a business. So I want to talk to you kind of about what I've learned. And my wife and I, she's on here, what my wife and I have learned together over the past handful of years here. And I want to tell you kind of how we've worked through things that have been a challenge of, building a business and having a family and having 4 children and trying to juggle all that. And by no means do I think we get it perfect. But I want to give you guys some perspective and some things to think about that might be able to help you in your own journey, being a parent or being a spouse or any of those things. So I think it's an important conversation to have because I think that a lot of people struggle with this. Yes, Bruce, I am in a t-shirt, and there's a reason that I have this t-shirt on today. So this t-shirt represents, it says Team Humanity, as you guys can see. And one of my buddies from high school who played about 10 years in the NFL, this is his project, Team Humanity, and it's something that you guys are going to get to meet him next week. Hopefully, I'm working on that today. I'm going to reach out to him and try to get him booked for next week. But he has moved back to the area of my hometown, and he's doing incredible things. And this T-shirt represents a lot, and I think it says a lot for what's going on in the world today. We all need to be one team, Team Humanity. So with that said, want to say good morning to some folks. Carrie Ann, I owe you a call back. I will do that today, I promise. Bruce, good morning to you. My wife, love you, babe. Thanks for being here. Jeff Johnson, great to see you, brother. It was good to see you yesterday and finally meet you in person. Tammy Clark, always good to see you. Jared Bird, my man, good morning to you. And Mr. Nelson, man, it's good to have you here, brother. And Trisha, good morning to you too. And Bruce, there will be much more to come on how you can support Team Humanity. And man, it's a really great story. So I'm excited to share that with you guys. So with regard to your family being a business, I just want to break this down for you because a lot of people might be a little challenged to kind of make that correlation between, running a business and running a family. But I want to tell you how it's been effective for us, for my wife and I. There were times in our relationship as you're getting married, you're trying to figure everything out. We've moved a bunch of times. And so you've got stuff going on all over the place. You're trying to figure out who's going to handle what and who's going to deal with this and, all those things. And so one of the things that my wife and I started doing is we started to literally have a meeting between my wife and I every Sunday night. And we started to discuss what was going on in our family. So what we needed to get our arms around with regard to the kids, with regard to our finances, with regard to everything. So we kind of had almost like a weekly business meeting, right, between my wife and I. And, we really started to, those meetings started a higher level of communication between my wife and I, started to help us understand where the other one was coming from and what was going on and what both of us were dealing with that sometimes, we overlook because we don't, we're all doing our own stuff. So we don't necessarily realize what the other person is dealing with. And so those meetings really set a path for us, right? It really set us on a course to being able to come together and figure out exactly how to run our family more effectively and more efficiently. And ultimately, in my mind, the way that we run our families, that is a direct correlation to exactly how successful our children are going to be, or we're going to be as a family. And so it is really, really important for us to understand that communication is going to be a key piece of running your family and building a successful family. And I think that, that communication starts with having meetings, communicating, creating a plan and a strategy for your family. And I think that far too often we have all of these plans for our businesses, for, us as individuals, but we don't necessarily always create that same plan on the personal side for our families, right? And so we get so caught up in all the other stuff that what is most important to us sometimes doesn't get addressed the way that it should, because there's not as many measurements in the world of family to hold us accountable, right? And so sometimes those are the things that fall by the wayside. So are you meeting with your spouse to discuss your plan, or are you meeting with your family? Maybe your kids are old enough to participate in that meeting as well. The second thing I wrote down this morning is, do you have financial review meetings? Where are we? What are we working towards here? What are we trying to do? Do we have financial goals? Are we trying to save for something? Are we trying to buy something new? Are we trying, whatever it is? The key to that is going to be, having review meetings so that everybody is on the same page. Because if you get everybody on the same page, meaning you, your wife, your husband, your children, it's going to be a lot easier for you to be able to execute on the plan and the strategy and the goals that you have. And so a lot of times we assume that our spouse is on the same page with us as far as goals and where we're trying to go. But without communication, there is a lack of clarity within your family. And then that lack of clarity will cascade into your business life as well, because there's a lot of things that intersect there, right? You don't, you go to work and you can try to, kind of focus at work when you're at work and focus at home when you're at home. But if you don't have good communication, those things, those lines are really, really going to blur together in a bad way, right? So, we try to blend our life. So like I can do work at home, I can do work at the office, I can do all that stuff. But without communication from a wife to understand exactly what's going on in our world, in our business, and in my travel schedule, and our finances, everything, then the rest of it becomes a lot more challenging. So think about that. The third thing I wrote down is, how is the communication in your family business? We touched on this a little bit here, but if you're running a business, the first thing usually that is an issue is communication, right? If you have some issues in your business, typically the first thing that you're going to look for is a breakdown in communication, because it's the core challenge in every single problem. Usually leads from a lack of misunderstanding or a lack of communication. The same is true on the family side of things. If there is something wrong, it's probably because you didn't communicate something, or you're misunderstanding something, or your spouse is doing the same, right? So one way or the other, communication is going to be key for you to be able to ultimately run your family similar to the way that you would run a business and get the same exceptional results. So when you look back, you can say, man, in the last year, we really accomplished a lot. The next thing on my list here is, do your children have goals? If you have small children, you should still be setting goals for them. One of the things that we started doing with our oldest, with Paisley, is to set goals for her, to give her books to read, to give her projects to do, to give her things that she needs to learn so that she can, get the things that she wants, right? If she wants something at the store, or she has to earn that. So we started to give her chores around the house. We started to give her books to read. My wife's checking in on that kind of stuff. So, our children, we're trying to give them goals so that they have something to start working towards. And it doesn't matter if they're 8 years old, 5, 3, whatever it is, they start to understand what it means to accomplish things. And so that is a really important piece of implementing things into your child's life that's going to make a huge impact on them when they become adults. So keep that in mind. And, that's one of the things that I want to work on the rest of this year, is really getting our children in a routine. I preach about morning routine and the importance of creating rhythm in your life. The same is true for children, right? The same is true for your marriage. If you don't have a normal routine that you're all adhering to, then you're just disjointed, right? There's no rhythm to your family. There's no rhythm to, what you're doing. And as a group, everybody's kind of going their own way. And if you feel that way in your family, it's easy. It's easier to fix than you think, right? Because all it takes is some communication, some planning, some getting on the same page with regard to your goals, and then starting to implement those, and then, checking in just like you would in your business. You should do in your family. And so that's one of the things that I wanted to leave you guys with is, if you guys do have children, or you have friends that have children or whatever, make sure that they're starting to understand at a young age the idea of accomplishment, right? The idea of goals and what it feels like to actually accomplish things. Because, in today's world, I feel like, there's so much going on that we sometimes try to make children feel comfortable in situations where they maybe it's not the best thing for them to feel comfortable, right? We don't want them to feel uncomfortable all the time, but we want them to understand the idea of achievement, the idea of genuinely winning, and not being handed a trophy just because we want to make them feel good, but understanding the feeling of accomplishment. Because, for those of you out there that, have children and you see them actually win at something, it's a great feeling to see them understand that feeling of accomplishment, look up at you and have that pride in their face that they know they did something exceptional. And that, friends, is what creates a better future for all of us. Our children are going to create that future. It's not going to be us. And so, we need to instill that at a very young age, that feeling of accomplishment, that feeling of adversity is a great thing for our children to experience. Sometimes my wife will say, she wants to make them, feel better. And I tell her, discomfort is a great teacher. It is really a great teacher. It's not that you want to allow your children to suffer. There's a big difference between discomfort and suffering. But at the same time, if you can teach them to embrace discomfort, embrace adversity, and learn how to push through that. Our 5-year-old he's a challenge with that, right? He doesn't like to lose at all. Like if he's playing a game, he's playing a video game, he's playing a board game, he's not a fan of losing. And so a lot of people will comment, my parents or my wife will say, man, Kingston is, he's not a good loser. And I say, man, I wasn't a good loser either. And that's not a bad thing, right? It's you got to teach them how to use that in the right way so that they can turn that adversity, they can turn that frustration into fuel that helps them win in their life. So I'm going to leave you with that, guys. Just think about those things that we just talked about today. So I'll run through them again real quick. Are you having meetings in your family, with your spouse, to create and execute a plan and then check in on that plan, just making sure that you have some direction in your family? Because I'm telling you guys, like, it's easy to have direction in every other area of your life, but lose track of that direction in your family because nobody's really paying attention to it, right? And most of the time, people are going to tell you, oh man, everything looks so great from the outside. And people are going to give you lots of accolades for your kids because they're cute and they're polite and they're whatever it is. And so it's easy to take those accolades and not have to be held accountable to the real progress that you're making as a family. And so are you meeting with your spouse and do you actually have a plan? Are you having financial review meetings with your spouse? How is the communication within your family business? What does that look like? Have you actually sat down with your wife and said, or husband, and said, this is where we're at, financially, spiritually, fitness, like all the different buckets of your life. This is where we're at, and how do we work together to make that better? And then, are you setting goals for your children? What are they actually working towards? Because they need to understand that idea of goal setting and achievement. It is at the core of what creates a successful and responsible adult in our world. And are they required to do things to get things? And, it is just an unbelievable experience to watch your children grow up and embrace that responsibility. I'm starting to see that more and more in our older two. And it's really cool. It's really cool to see them develop. And man, it's the greatest joy in life to see what and what you are, what the knowledge that you have, and be able to pass that along to those children is a gift from God. It is an incredible thing. And and Jeff Nelson, man, happy anniversary to you. I got the pleasure of meeting Jeff's wife while I was out there, and just amazing people, an amazing woman, and happy anniversary to you guys, man. What an accomplishment. Next year's a big one, brother. You better get prepared. You better get a real special gift. You might have to buy a new boat and put her name on there. So, but any rate, guys, wishing you an amazing Friday. As I always say, Friday is a day that separates the great from the good. And so don't go out like a mouse today. Go out like a lion. Make sure that you're punching the clock at the end of the day and that you're out working your competition, because Fridays, we refer to those around here as separation season. What are you going to put in? Are you going to put in a full day? Or are you going to be like everybody else in the world and, lollygag all afternoon, or take off at noon and go to lunch and have happy hour and all that kind of stuff? So make it a great day, guys. And I will see you again Monday. I got some guests that I'm lining up for next week, and it's going to be an awesome, awesome, awesome week on Morning Perspective. If you guys haven't shared this out for me, I'm trying to get back in the groove here. So I haven't asked anybody to share this out because I'm not used to talking to you guys for the last 3 weeks here. So, but if you could share it out for me so that we can reach as many people as possible. I'm going to fill you guys in on the plan. I just had Mr. Jay Duran in town this week for a couple of days. And we're starting to put some things together here with this whole Morning Perspective idea, and the whole idea behind how this can make a larger impact on the world. So I'm excited to share that with you guys as that develops. And I look forward to seeing you Monday morning, same place, same time, right here on Morning Perspective. Love you.